are actually not making us to deliver services to the people.
Yeah. Is Salva Kiir power thirsty or bloodthirsty?
I'm not. In my records, I have never been involved in such activities.
But then your troops, your soldiers have been accused of this in village after village. Atrocities, villagers killed, women raped, children killed, villages burnt down, UN sanctions against some of your officials. I mean, there's a whole laundry list.
This did not happen. It did not happen. It is a policy from even from external forces who ordered their staff in this country that all the reports that they have to send to the UN and send to whether to New York or to where must be against the government, because this government is unwanted. And so it was not true that my soldiers did this. Why did they not do it during the 21 year of war, of liberation? They did not do it. SPLA was never accused of these killings or rapes and all that.
Yeah. Are you denying all of this?
This is not true. If an individual has committed such a crime, it is an individual. It is not the whole army. And such crimes are everywhere, even in Iraq they have happened. They happen in Libya. They are now happening in Yemen and Syria. So, in a war situation, some people will take that to their advantage.
But at the same time, people are blaming you because they say the buck has to stop somewhere. And they say Salva Kiir is the one responsible.
Let them stop fighting, and I will go peacefully. If the people who elected me to this office say that, Salva, enough is enough, you go home, I will go.
You would go?
I will go.
But then, what's the guarantee that the fighting will stop?
I don't know. If it is me, who was the reasons behind the fighting, and I go, they must stop.
There is a documentary that aired in Kenya, I'm sure many of you watched it, called The Profiteers last week, and it was talking about the billions stolen from oil revenues, amongst the things it talked about. Billions and billions stolen in oil revenues by your officials, your generals, whose families now live lavish lifestyles in places like Nairobi and Johannesburg and other places. They've bought homes, they drive around in fuel guzzlers, stashed money overseas. And that paints a very bad picture of South Sudan.
I don't deny that money has been taken away from the coffers of South Sudan. And I did not keep quiet. I was the one who brought it to light that there are corrupt people in my government. To some extent, I arrested some. Some officials were arrested before the coup of Riek Machar in 2013. I arrested them, and later on, after the investigation, they were released that they will face the law. But this was interrupted by the coup of Riek Machar, and they were participants.
And yet your generals or officials and their families, they still live these lavish lifestyles. What are you doing about it?
Of course, I have no time now at this stage to account the people who have stolen money and to face the challenges that we are now facing in our country. I have to bring peace first, and later on I will turn to anybody whose fingers are being pointed at being a thief or whatever.
Yeah. Can you maintain that peace? Can you guarantee your 14, 16 million South Sudanese that there will be peace in this country?
I can guarantee them, and I can assure them that, we will have peace in our country, and we are going to have it. Already I have signed the agreement, and when I signed the agreement, it was not because I was convinced, but I have to compromise on many issues. Say, for example, in your country, you have only one deputy president. Now I accepted five vice presidents. Is it in Africa? Is it in Europe? Now it is here that 5 vice presidents will come. And I was asking President Bashir and those who were present by that time that now I have accepted 5 vice presidents. Where will I get the office space for them? Where they will work? Where will I get accommodation for 5 vice presidents? Where will I get vehicles for their mobility? Many things. I have asked them such a question. And so, because of peace, I'm a loving man for peace, I accepted all these things and compromised.
Yeah, correct. You compromised, and it seemed like you had no choice but to accept that. Does that diminish your power?
No. No. I don't think that I did not have any choice. If I had wanted to continue with the war, we would have just continued. Just like when the opposition were adamant that I must go. But they did not know what they were talking about. If I go by that time, when bullets were just all over, flying all around, they would not even come to Juba to come and rule. They themselves who wanted me to go. So, it is not me.
They almost killed you in 2016 here at J1. They almost killed you. Are you afraid now? I mean, do you still fear for your life every day?
I'm not. I was not even afraid on that day, 8th of July, 2016, in this room. This is where I took Riek Machar to hide him somewhere. Yeah. When bullets were hitting at this door and hitting at the walls, I took him out of here. If I was afraid of my life, I could have left him. And if I had left him to General Paul Malong, who is now his best ally, he would not be alive now.
He'd be dead.
He would have been dead that hour. Because, the generals were telling me, just forget about, what is happening here and that I should go and rest. But I refused. I said, no, I will not go. Let us see to the finish of this thing.
Yeah. Are you going to be able to get along with this man? I mean, you've tried peace 3, 4, 5 times in 7 years. It hasn't worked. Clearly, there's something very wrong. Or you both just don't get along.
Well, my opponents do not want anything less than becoming presidents, whether being Riek or being his colleagues. Each one of them wants to become the president. And as long as he is not the president, war must continue.
So we're at a stalemate here. Nothing's going to move.
There is no stalemate. Who will work? Who will work? Now, the pre-transitional period, which is now 8 months, is a time that we will organize ourselves. All the armed factions of these groups should be assembled in one place. The National Army will go back to the barracks. And then, in these cantonment camps for the armed groups is where, selections for those who are fit to join the military service will be selected. And those going for the police will go for the police. The same thing for the DDR will be selected from there. So after 8 months, then we will establish the transitional period where we will form the government. If there is anybody who is discontented and does not want to participate in the government, it will be very clear from there. And mind you, it is not all the factions that have armed groups. Very few of them have the armed persons in the field.
Yeah. Mm. And if in those 8 months it doesn't work out, do we go back to the drawing table? Do we go back to Khartoum or Entebbe? What do we do?
I believe it will work. In these 8 months, it will work.
Mr. President, we're going to take a break, come back and talk about many other issues, including money laundering out of Juba. Recently, a Kenyan woman was killed, and it's alleged she has Juba ties, South Sudan ties, and she was carrying a lot of money, and it's probably not the first time. I want your thoughts on that. The money laundering, how can it be stopped? Because there's so few very wealthy people here, and the majority are languishing in poverty. Let's talk about that after the break. Jeff Konage live on the road in Juba. We call this place J1, the presidential palace here in Juba, talking exclusively with South Sudan President Salva Kiir Mayardit. We'll take a break, come back, plenty more ahead. Stay with us.